This is flip video 3.4 multipliers. So if you think back to flip video 3.3 fiscal policy is changes to government spending and taxes to fix economic gaps. So we're using fiscal policy to force aggregate demand to close recessionary and inflationary gaps. Expansionary fiscal policy is used during a recession to increase aggregate demand by increasing government spending and or decreasing taxes. And then contractionary fiscal policy is the opposite. So we're going to use contractionary fiscal policy during an expansion to decrease aggregate demand by decreasing government spending and or increasing taxes. So that was flip video 3.3. So how do we know how much we should change spending and taxes? So the one thing we didn't address in flip video 3.3 is how do we know how much? So we say decrease spending. Well, by how much? We have a gap. So we're over potential if we're decreasing spending. So by how much should we decrease? Or if we're going to start increasing taxes, how much should we increase taxes? That's something we didn't address in flip video 3.3 is the number. What is this number? How do we get this number? It's through the multipliers. So we need to understand that everything in our economy is multiplied. So there's not a single transaction that is just that transaction. Every transaction is multiplied throughout our economy. So let's say you spend $1 at the store. You have provided that store with a profit, so now they can pay their employees who now have money to spend, and they can provide profit to other stores, which then generates more employee paychecks. And this is just a continuous cycle. So if you remember the circular flow model, everything just goes round and round and round and round. It's continuous. Same thing with this multiplying effect. Everything is multiplied. So the government can't just change spending or taxes by the output gap. So let's say we have an output gap of negative 500 billion. Well, that means we're in a recession and our gap is 500 billion. So the government can't just increase its spending by 500 billion. If it did that, then our economy would be multiplied by 500 billion. So you would actually need to spend less than the gap. Same thing for taxes. We can't just change taxes by the output gap. It doesn't work like that. We need to understand everything's multiplied. So we need to use our multipliers to determine the exact amount to adjust spending and taxes by. And these are the important equations for multipliers. So you'll want to write these equations down and have these equations ready for next class. We're going to be using them and explaining a little bit more. There is no comprehension check for this flip video. So if you're looking for it and you're like, it's not here, that's why it's not there. It does not exist. Make sure you have these equations written down. We're going to be going step by step through the multiplying process next class. So make sure you have these. It'll just make sure we're all organized. So when we walk through the multiplying process, it's just a little bit easier to work our way through it. Remember, there's no comprehension check for 3.4. So if you're looking for it and it's not there, that's why it's not there. It doesn't exist. There is no comprehension check.